Every year, we have the people who have received grants come with us to our dinner to share the impact of your grants. And in this 10-year celebration, we really were trying to figure out how to best impart to all of you the impact. And so we have our first guest speaker is Annah Wilson from New Morning Youth and Family Services, the shelter director. Annah? And Annah has a powerful story to share with all of you about the impact of your grant dollars.
There are a lot of you, a lot, like maybe 300-ish, I heard. Hi, I'm Annah. Thanks for having me. I just want to say, Dr. Jamie Orr, I don't know where you are, but I'm suddenly interested in the theory of emergence and the hydrogen atom somehow. And I'm about to friend court you hardcore, wherever you are. Oh, hi. Thank you. That was really beautiful. So I am the new-ish director of New Morning Youth Shelter in Placerville. And also, I was a runaway homeless youth who grew up here in El Dorado County. I was raised in a household with 2 siblings and a parent who dealt with extreme mental health and substance abuse issues. By the time I was 11 years old, I was a runaway, and I was navigating the sweltering 104-degree heat of our foothill summers, and the incredulous frost of our coldest seasons. New Morning was a shelter I stayed at between home, juvenile hall, park encampments, tweaker pads, Highway 50 roadsides, and 24-hour diners as a teen. While I didn't have the language then, I'm pretty sure this shelter was the first place any adult had ever implemented a harm reduction approach with me. The first place I was taught how to give informed consent. The first place I was shown that the culture of adult supremacy is not always an unyielding or impermeable default. At the shelter, I learned how to bond with other girls in my peer group about trauma, survival, and resurrection. I learned how to see other girls as allies instead of competitors, a lesson not often enough transmitted to young girls in our society. I learned how to rise each day swinging, despite having gone to bed the night before, certain that every part of me was dead. It's where I made my first friendship with another renegade riot girl foster kid. We sharpied each other's fingernails black and bedazzled each other's ankle monitors with rhinestones. We really did. We were foul-mouthed teenagers who wanted nothing more than to be seen for our inherent genius and our impeccably fine-tuned survival skills. The first time I ever walked through the doors of New Morning Shelter, I was so full of rage that when a staff member told me to take my things to the bedroom I'd be staying in, I completely lost it. I wasn't in the habit of taking orders from adults unless they had me in handcuffs, so I took this opportunity to show her that nobody was the boss of me. I started grabbing books off the shelves, chucking them around the room. I tore posters off the walls, and I called that poor woman every name in the book. Really embarrassing now. As I look at my staff members, I'm like, oh, sorry. And within moments, another staff person came in the room, and she yelled my name really loudly, and it shocked me into silence. And she said, oh, hell no. I wouldn't go into your house and pull this. You need to have some respect and stop it right now. And I was like, respect? Good thing I don't have a home. My tent at the encampment gets raided and turned upside down by the cops pretty much once a day. Respect? Give me a break. To which she responded with a sigh and an eye roll that would singe itself into my memory for decades to come. All right, let's make a deal, she said. You come with me to the gym for 1 hour and do my daily workout routine with me. I would really appreciate the company. And if you still want to be an asshole, excuse my language, if you still want to be an asshole and tear the house apart when we get back, I'll leave you to it. Really? The next thing I knew, we were at the gym, and by the time I got back to the house, I was so exhausted and sore, all I could do was crawl into those nice clean bed sheets and sleep for the next 10 hours straight. I've since learned that this is a tried and true harm reduction tactic that child care providers often use on unsuspecting group home residents. Genius. A few days later, I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night. I got up and walked into the common space of the shelter to find a staff member working graveyard, sitting at the kitchen table alone. She asked me what I needed, and I grumpily told her that being 13, I should be allowed to stay up as late as I wanted. I was too old to have my bedtime mandated by anyone. I remember her looking at me and saying, "You're only 13? Seems like you're in a really big hurry to grow up." This sent me into another blind rage. I am grown, I argued. By the time I was 10, I knew how to pay the electrical bill, pump my mom's stomach using charcoal tabs from the medicine cabinet when she drank too much, and basically was the primary caretaker of 2 younger children, my siblings. I think I can handle deciding my own bedtime. To which she responded, "Okay, fair enough. But why don't you just go back to bed and read for a while or something?" Well, I don't have anything to read. What I was too embarrassed to admit was that I actually couldn't read all that well. Since my school attendance had been so spotty over the years, I hadn't achieved fully functional literacy yet. She reached over into her bag, pulled out a Harlequin romance novel, and slyly handed it to me. This is probably pretty inappropriate reading material for someone your age, but since you're so grown, I think you can probably handle it. I'll make an exception just this once. Go to bed. That's when my love affair for trashy literature and for reading in general began. Since this was a forbidden book, you bet your bottom dollar I picked up the fundamentals of literacy really quickly. Learning how to read was life-altering for me. I'd suddenly gained an avenue through which healthy dissociation was possible. No matter how bad things got around me, I was able to disappear into the pages of a book or generate my own personal archives by writing down my thoughts and feelings in a journal. Literature became my passion. I went on to get a master's degree in English, and last year I published my first book. Thanks. And so my mother died in 2007 from a morphine overdose, at which point I changed the spelling of my name from Annah, A-N-N-A, to Annah, A-N-N-A-H. This was a cathartic shift for me, a shift which symbolically allowed me to resist the life of being a palindrome. Palindrome is a word, number, sentence, verse, or double-stranded sequence of DNA that reads the same backwards and forwards. The term is derived from the Greek root palindromo, which means running back again, a recurrence, or a revolving cycle. We often reproduce the violent legacies that have been transmitted to us through the unspoken and overarching narratives of our childhoods. While the patterns we learn may define us, we are also defined by our processes of unpacking, analyzing, and defying those legacies as well. So, needless to say, I'm beyond honored to have made it back to become part of New Morning's team as a staff member. Thanks to all of you whose investments of love, time, labor, money, and other resources have made this resource accessible for the youth of our county. Oh, and P.S. Passion's Far Shore by Madeline Kerr, my first gateway Harlequin pulp novel. Check it out, it's very racy.